Today let us discuss about the body fluids and circulation topic. Chapter 18 related to Unit 5. This is an important topic from which we are getting 2 questions minimum and maximum 3 questions. In this chapter, we will discuss about blood, lymph, human circulatory system, double circulation, regulation of cardiac activity, and disorders associated with this system. Why do the organisms they need circulatory system? Each and every organism or the cells associated in case of organisms, they need the transport of nutrients, respiratory gases, and also certain minerals. The transport of nutrients occur with the help of a specialized system known as circulatory system. Circulatory system among invertebrates is observed right from annelida group organisms. With respect to the lower group invertebrates like sponges, a specialized system is present known as aquiferous system, can also be termed as canal system. Then in case of nereids, a specialized cavity is present known as gastrovascular cavity that helps in the process of digestion and also circulation of the digested food substances. Whereas in case of platyhelminthes organisms, circulatory system is absent, but a specialized tissues known as parenchyma or mesenchyma, they play an important role in the transport of digested food substances and also excretory substances. Absence of circulatory system in these organisms is compensated by parenchyma or mesenchyma cells. And if we observe the Aschelminthes group organisms, pseudocoelomic fluid is present that performs the function related to the circulatory system. And then for the first time in the animal kingdom, we observe specialized circulatory system among annelida group organisms. So annelida group organisms where 2 different types of circulations are seen, open type and closed type of circulatory system. In case of open type of circulatory system, the tissues they bathe in the body fluids. Connecting blood vessels like capillaries are absent. Whereas in case of closed type of circulatory system, blood always flows in the blood vessels. In case of annelida organisms, majority of the organisms are associated with the closed type of circulatory system. In case of nereids and also in case of earthworm group organisms, earthworms are with closed type of circulatory system. Nereids belongs to a class known as Polychaeta, whereas earthworms are the organisms which belongs to the class Oligochaeta. Whereas open type of circulatory system is observed in the members of hirudinians. Among the members of arthropoda, open type of circulatory system is present. In the members of molluscum, open type of circulatory system is, but there is an exception with respect to the cephalopoda group organisms or siphonopoda group organisms. Example, so where octopus, sepia, loligo. So here in these organisms, closed type of circulatory system is absent. So very important area. All molluscans are with open type of circulatory system. Always we should keep in our mind related to the exceptions. Among cephalopoda group organisms, among molluscans, closed type of circulatory system is observed. In case of echinodermata organism, the circulatory system is of open type and is known as human system. In case of hemichordata organisms, open type of circulatory system is observed. These are different group invertebrates where different types of circulatory systems are seen. The chordates. Chordata group organisms are categorized into protochordata group organisms and vertebrate group organisms. Among protochordates, again Urochordata and Cephalochordata. In case of Urochordate organisms, open type of circulatory system is observed. Whereas in case of Cephalochordate organisms, closed type of circulatory system is observed. Among vertebrate group organisms, closed type of circulatory system is observed. But in NCERT book, NEERAJA'S, they have given closed type of circulatory system is observed in case of chordates. But there is an exception. There is an exception where we have to focus where Urochordata organisms are with the open type of circulatory system. And then next let us see What are different group organisms among vertebrates? In case of fishes, closed type of circulatory system, amphibians, which are also with closed type of circulatory system, reptiles, eels, and mammals. Fishes are the organisms where two-chambered heart is present, with one atria and one ventricle. In these organisms, the type of circulation is known as single circulation. Whereas in case of amphibians, three-chambered heart is present with the two atria and one ventricle. The circulation in these organisms is also single circulation. Here, in general, it should be known it is an incomplete double circulation. But in NCERT, related to the frog type study, they have mentioned single circulation. So be cautious while writing this answer. Whereas in case of reptiles, three-chambered heart is present, two atria and one incompletely divided ventricle is present. In those organisms, incomplete double circulation is observed. Among reptiles, Crocodilia group organisms are with four-chambered heart. For the first time in the animal kingdom, double circulation is observed among Crocodilia group organisms. Aves are the organisms which are having four-chambered heart. And in this organism, two atria and then two ventricles are present. The type of circulation is known as double circulation. In case of mammals, also four-chambered heart is present. So where two atria and then two ventricles are present. The type of circulation in these organisms is known as double circulation. What is a single circulation and what is double circulation? With respect to the single circulation, passes through the heart only once. So here, blood in case of fishes, deoxygenated blood, it passes through the heart. Whereas in case of incomplete double circulation, right atrium receives deoxygenated blood, left atrium receives oxygenated blood. This both deoxygenated and oxygenated blood, they mix in the ventricle. And all the body parts, they receive mixed blood. Such type of circulation is known as incomplete double circulation. Whereas double circulation, in case of organisms which are exhibiting double circulation, where blood is pumped right from the heart twice. Once in the form of deoxygenated blood, another time in the form of oxygenated. We have to focus. And then next, let us see human circulatory system. Mammals, they are associated with four-chambered heart. In case of human beings, where it is known as myogenic heart, and it is derived from a germinal layer known as mesoderm. The location of the heart is, it is mediastinum, which is the thoracic cavity area, and this area which is enclosed in the rib cage is differentiated into epiastinum, and this area is known as mediastinum, and the lower portion is known as hypoastinum, and it is the apex of the heart is slightly towards the left side, tilted towards the left side, and it is present in a notch-like structure known as cardiac notch. Where, so these are the characters. The size is of clenched fist, and then it is located in the mediastinum position, and it is located in the thoracic cavity present between the lungs. Heart is enclosed by the membranes known as pericardial membranes. So pericardial membranes are present, and they are known as outer parietal pericardium and inner visceral pericardium. Parietal pericardium is again differentiated into outer fibrous layer and inner serous layer. Visceral pericardium can also be termed as pericardium layer, which is associated with outer fibrous pericardium. And this fibrous pericardium is the part of parietal pericardium. So this is the visceral pericardium layer. So this is the pericardium where parietal pericardium and visceral pericardium layers are present. Fibrous pericardium and serous pericardium layers are associated with the parietal pericardium. Wall of the heart. Walls of the heart, it is differentiated into outer epicardium, middle myocardium, and then inner endocardium. So epicardium, it is the outermost layer which is made up of simple squamous epithelial cells, whereas myocardium, it is a thick layer and is associated with the cardiac myocytes. So which type of muscles are there? Cardiac muscles are present. Endocardium, it is made up of simple squamous epithelium. And if we come to the characteristic feature of these cardiac muscle cells, they exhibit the phenomenon of autoexcitability, rhythmicity, conductivity, contractibility, both the characteristic feature of these cardiac muscles. So we got a question right from this particular area. So epicardium is the outermost layer, and then myocardium, it is the middle layer. Endocardium, it is the innermost layer of the heart. It shows the capacity of rhythmicity, auto-excitable in nature, conductivity, contractibility, and it acts as functional symbol. So when once it shows a sequential contraction, and it is known as a functional sensation. So here these are known as atria, so which is known as ventricles. The atria are the anterior chambers. We can clearly demarcate the atria right from the ventricles through a small groove known as coronary sulcus. So here a groove is present that represents the interatrial septum, which is present inside the heart. And this is related to the interventricular groove. And then as the atria walls are thin and slightly broad when compared with that of ventricles, the atrial walls, it overhangs the ventricles. And this overhanging part is known as auricular appendix. The structure of heart, this is the external structure of heart, where it is known as the right atrium and it is the left atrium. The atria and ventricles are separated by coronary sulcus. This two auricles are separated by a septum known as interatrial, the internal structure of heart. Right and left atria are internally separated by interatrial septum. This is known as right atrium and it is known as left. Right and left atria are separated by interatrial septum. On this interatrial septum, during embryonic development, there exists an aperture, and that aperture is known as foramen ovale, which is during embryonic development. The right atria, it receives the blood, but the blood is not pumped to the lungs. Why? Means the lungs are non-functional during embryonic development. During embryonic development, the bypass of the blood takes place right from right atrium to the left atrium through this aperture. Whereas here, this is the aperture related to the postcaval vein, and there exists a valve known as eustachian valve, and this eustachian valve, it directs the flow of blood right from right atrium to the left atrium. At the time of birth, when the lungs they start functional activity, the aperture is closed and it is represented in the form of fossa ovalis. It is kids even after birth, this foramen ovale is not closed and it is known as patent foramen ovale. Atrium, it receives deoxygenated blood through two main blood vessels known as precaval vein or superior vena cava, another blood vessel known as postcaval vein. Whereas the left atrium, it receives blood through four major blood vessels known as pulmonary veins. The blood right from the coronary sinus enters into the right atrium through a small aperture which is present nearer to a specific node known as AV node. The aperture is guarded by a valve known as valve of sebaceous atrium, and this is the left. On the posterior wall, a depression is present known as fossa ovalis, and it corresponds to the foramen ovale. So this, and then atria are separated right from the ventricles through another septum known as atrioventricular septum. Atrioventricular septum is associated with the two apertures, which is known as right atrioventricular aperture and it is known as left atrioventricular aperture. Right atrioventricular aperture is guarded by tricuspid valve. Left atrioventricular aperture, it is guarded by bicuspid valve or mitral valve. And this is the bicuspid valve which is associated only with the two membranous flaps. And next let us see ventricles. Ventricles are also known as posterior chambers, which are also known as pumping chambers. The walls of the ventricles are thick in nature and they form several finger-like projections which are columnae corneae. So above these small projections are present which are known as papillary muscles. Attached to these papillary muscles, heartstrings are present which are known as chorda tendinae. Function of this chorda tendinae: during the contraction of muscles, the pressure is increased and the blood right from this they enter into the respective aortic arches. At that time, these membranous flaps they close. While closing, these membranous flaps may bulge towards the atrium and the reverse flow of blood may. In order to prevent the reverse flow of blood, these chorda tendinae they pull these membranous flaps down. That is the significance of this chorda tendinae. So let us see with respect to this diagram. So these are ventricles. This is right ventricle and it is left ventricle. The walls of the ventricles internally, they are associated with the small columns of finger-like projections which are known as columnae corneae. At the tip of this columnae corneae, there exists a specific type of muscles these are known as a papillary muscles. And this is a tricuspid valve, and it is known as a bicuspid valve. Extending between these valves and the papillary muscles, chorda tendineae are present. And ventricle projections are associated with the walls of the ventricles, which are known as a columnae corneae, with the specialized muscles known as papillary muscles. Chorda tendineae are present, which are also known as heartstrings. We got a question right from this particular area. Oxygenated blood right from the left atrium is collected through the systemic arteries. And so here there will be the opening of systemic artery, there will be opening of the pulmonary artery. And they are associated with specific type of valves known as semi-lunar valves. And then now let us see the aortic arches. Assume that this is a pulmonary artery and this are systemic arteries. During embryonic development, between the pulmonary artery and systemic artery, there exists a small blood vessel. And that blood vessel is known as ductus arteriosus. Why this ductus arteriosus is present? It is also an adaptation, so which helps in the bypass of the blood circulation, bypassing the blood supply. So ductus arteriosus. So here, two different types of adaptations are seen. One is foramen ovale, another one is ductus arteriosus. These two are the structures which are responsible for bypass the blood during embryonic development. So these are the valves of the heart. We got a question. So in the form of match the following in 2018. The heart valve, eustachian valve, it is seen only during embryonic development, where it is responsible for flow of blood through foramen ovale from right atrium to the left atrium. Valve of Thebesius, and then so which is known as coronary valve. Opening of this opens associated with the coronary sinus that opens into the right atrium, allows the passage of blood right from into the right atrium from coronary sinus. And a tricuspid valve, it is located between the right atrium and the right ventricle. Ventricular contraction, it prevents the blood moving right from the ventricles, right ventricle to right atrium. And the next type of valve, which is known as the pulmonary valve. So this is the pulmonary valve, which is a semilunar valve, and it is located at the entrance of pulmonary artery. It prevents the backward flow of blood right from pulmonary artery to the right ventricle. And then mitral valve. It is located between the left atrium and then left ventricle, which prevents the backward flow of blood during ventricular contraction right from left ventricle to left atrium. Aortic valves. Another one is semilunar valves, which is located at the base of the systemic artery. So let us see the overall gist, internal structure of heart. So here this is the heart structure. Externally, the atria are separated right from ventricles through coronary sulcus. And then this is the right atrium, this is left atrium, which are separated interatrial septum. Ventricles are so internally separated by interventricular septum, which is oblique in nature. The walls of the ventricles, they form small, so finger-like projections, which are known as columnae corneae. The tip where the papillary muscles are present, and you can see here the heartstrings, here the heartstrings. Okay, and the right atrium, it receives the blood through superior vena cava. This is a superior vena cava that opens into the right atrium, and it is the inferior vena cava which opens into the right atrium. These are the pulmonary veins that opens into the left atrium. Totally 4 pulmonary veins are present. Total number of apertures, so we can get, so most students, they used to do mistake at this particular area. Total number of apertures associated with the right atrium means the answer should be 3. The number of blood vessels that opens into the right atrium means the answer should be 2. And then the number of blood vessels that open into the left atrium means the answer is 4. So the total number of blood vessels that opens into the atria means answer should be 6. And now let us see another blood vessels here. These two are the major aortic arches. So these are the major aortic arches. So this is known as pulmonary artery and it is known as systemic artery. It is associated with the semilunar valves. So here, so total number of valves during embryonic development are 5, whereas in case of adults they are 4. So with this we have completed the structure of heart. So mostly we have to focus on number of blood vessels, heart strings, and then valves location, valves function, valves location, and valves functions are very, very important.
If you like my video, please do like, share and subscribe to NEERAJA'S Biology Academy. Don't forget to click the bell icon for subsequent updates. Thank you.